everybody, I'm Whimsy and welcome back to my channel. I decided to read another story from a really great author. This story is called Not So Goldilocks and the Three Bears. And this is by Simon Eastwood. So Simon has given me permission to read the story on my channel. So, without further ado, let's get into this. Not So Goldilocks and the Three Bears. A waste of a girl. So there was this lass, first named Goldie, last name Locks. Her parents named her after a famous actress who hasn't had any big blockbusters over recent years, but is still a big name. She was very attractive and had long blonde hair. She had just been out celebrating her 21st birthday. It was a very messy night. Several rounds of shorts and a couple bottles of cheap wine had her laughing and crying at the same time as throwing up. Her friends had got her a male stripper, which they abused throughout his routine. He left feeling violated and never had a group of women been so sexually abusive to him. He quit that night. Oh my. He went to the police and was ridiculed further by the police. Oh no. The officer on the front desk heard his complaints, started to laugh, and called in his colleagues who were even less sympathetic. They didn't just laugh, they made jokes and teased him until he left. Well, that wasn't very nice of them, was it? At around 10 the following morning, Goldie did the walk of shame home after another drunken mistake with a random guy. Her makeup was a mess, and she had somehow managed to snap the heel off one of her shoes, giving her a massive limp. Her beautiful hair was no longer beautiful. A family of rats could have lived in it and made it look neater. When she got to her house, all her things had been dumped in the street, and the landlord had changed the locks due to unpaid rent. She picked up the bin bags containing her clothes and rooted through to find a nice pair of trainers. In the cafe down the road, Goldie sat nursing a huge hangover and a cup of tea. After going on social media and checking for photos of the previous night and feeling ashamed of some of the shenanigans and amused by others, she could not remember one of the photos. She announced to the internet that she was homeless and waited for someone to send her a message of help. None came. Goldie had been forced to move out of her parents when she was 18 when her partying had got too much for them. She started to ring around her friends, but none answered. The day was getting on and she needed to find a place for the night at least. The waitress had been watching her and started to take pity on her. As she put another pot of tea down for her, she said to her, "If you are desperate for a place tonight, there is a nice cottage in the woods. I have never seen anyone there." Goldie thanked the waitress, finished her drink, and went on her way to the woods. Into the woods. Goldie went walking to the woods. A little better now, she had some liquid inside her that had 0 alcohol and her comfortable trainers. The walk was still tiring carrying all her worldly possessions in bin bags, but she would have to cope. As she entered the woods, Goldie saw a couple of benches and sat down. She thought about her life choices and decided that she wouldn't have done anything different. She had a lot of fun. Things were looking bad now, but she knew in her heart that things would work out fine in the end. When feeling came back to her fingers, Goldie got up to try and find the house the waitress had told her about. "Excuse me, miss, but I hope you don't plan on going into the woods on your own." Goldie let out a little squeak of surprise and dropped her bags. One burst open, spilling knickers and bras onto the dirt-covered ground. She turned to see a homeless man with more hair than face. "What do you think you are doing creeping up on me like that?" "I'm sorry to startle you. I live in these woods with a few other homeless people. Don't go in there on your own. Some of my friends have been going missing and not been seen since. Yeah, whatever. There hasn't been anything in the local paper about it. We are homeless and the only people who care about us is us. The people know, but we aren't a priority. Okay, well, thanks for the warning, but I'll be on my way now. Bye! With that, she stuffed her belongings back in the bag, grumbling to herself, and flounced off. The man said nothing more, just shook his head and watched her leave. A short while later, Goldie was well into the woods, and the trees blocked out the sun. She was not enjoying her walk. She was getting scratches from brambles and whipped by twigs and tripping over tree roots. Somehow she had lost the path and was lost. Something moved behind her, sending panic through her body like an electric shock. What the homeless man had said had her spooked, and she set off running. One bag ripped open, spilling out its contents. Another tore on her fingernails and fell from her hand. She dropped the other bags and ran as hard as she could. She took a look over her shoulder and saw nothing. She turned forward again, not slowing, and ran face first into a tree. All went black. You should always look where you're going when you're running. Because trees just seem to pop out of nowhere. Waking up. Slowly, Goldie opened her eyes. Moving hurt everything and took great effort. She still didn't have strength to stand, but she was able to pull herself into a sitting position and rest against the tree. Her vision came back into focus, and she was able to take in her surroundings. Turning her head from left to right, she saw a clearing not far away. In the middle was a little cottage. Sun was shining straight down on it. She must have been out all night, she thought. Unlike normal, she had a hangover not caused by alcohol. Goldie pulled herself up onto her feet and started walking towards the building. As it got closer, she noticed it looked quite cute. She walked up to the door. Around the door handle and lock, there was scratches. Some of the scratches were deep and had wiry fur in them. Goldie just assumed that they must have been made by a burglar. Yeah, because, burglars have furry hands. A very hairy burglar, you see. She gave the door a knock. There was no answer, so she knocked louder. Still nothing, so she tried the handle, and the door opened easily. Hello? Is anyone in? Goldie called in. Still nothing. With a guilty look around and seeing no one around, she went in and closed the door. There was a smell of cooking meat, and it smelled delicious. Yummy. There was also a smell of animals. She saw the kitchen and walked in. There was a dining table with 3 places set, with 3 different sized chairs. On the seat of each chair was animal fur. With further inspection, she saw a slow cooker on the work surface turned on. She opened the lid, and the aroma hit her. It looked like slow-cooked pork. Yummy. With a finger and thumb, she pulled a small strip off, burning her fingers, and quickly stuffed it in her mouth. It melted away with no chewing needed. It was the tastiest thing she had ever tried. She grabbed the pot and took it to the table. She put it in front of the biggest chair, but it was too heavy to pull up to the table. Next, she moved to the medium-sized chair, but it was far too hard, and with her bruised backside, it was just unbearable. Last chance, the smallest chair. She sat down and was happy to find it was cushioned. With that, Goldie picked up the knife and fork and stuck it in. Gravy dribbled down her chin. It wasn't long before Goldie had devoured the lot. She got up, leaving the mess on the table. Looking around for something to clean herself with, and not finding anything, she went upstairs. She went into a bathroom. There was the biggest tub she had seen in her whole life. She turned on the taps, and to her surprise, hot water came running out. She found some bubble bath and poured some in. As the bath was running, she investigated the house some more. Party. While the bath was running, Goldie went downstairs to see if there was anything to drink. In the living room stood a tall glass drinks cabinet. Goldie's eyes lit up. She ran over to it to inspect the contents. There was a few bottles, but not much. A bottle of Advocate. That got moved to one side. Not until Christmas, my friend, she said with a little chuckle to herself. Behind that was a bottle of Drambuie. Oh, God, no, I'm not that desperate, she said with a grimace. Reading through, making similar comments to herself, she found a bottle of whiskey and a bottle of vodka. Not bothering with a glass, she put the bottle of vodka to her lips and gulped a couple of times out of the bottle, feeling the warm liquor go down just enough for a mixer. She went back to the kitchen and found a carton of fresh orange juice and filled the bottle back up and gave it a shake. Now, I don't know about you, but I would be thinking someone lived in this house, but not Goldie. Yeah, you think? After all, the waitress said she had never seen anyone there. With the drink made, she needed music. Yes, you must have music. Goldie went over to the stereo and started to flick through the CD collection. Country music. Next. I agree with you, Goldie, 100%. The first CD got tossed on the floor. The next CD, thrash metal. Wow, this is a messed up collection. Yeah, country music, thrash metal. After scattering CDs of genres all around, she finally found a mixed CD that suited her taste. The CD was on and the volume turned up. Goldie danced, spinning around and around, spilling her drink as she danced. Goldie one-person party was going well. All worries forgotten for now. A drip landed on her upturned face and she stopped dancing. Uh-oh. Goldie whipped it off with her hand. Confused and now drunk, Goldie looked out of the window. It's not raining, so what on earth was dripping through the ceiling? Realization hit her like a brick. The bath! She gasped. Staggering up the stairs, bouncing off the wall and handrail as she went. The upstairs carpet was squelching underfoot. Uh-oh. Water was coming out under the door. She opened the door to find the bathroom flooded. Oh my, bubbles all over. Steam was making it hard to see in her intoxication. Oh man, what a downer. But my bath's ready, woo! With that, she got in the bath. The music was loud enough to hear upstairs, and she sat in the bath, still drinking herself into oblivion. Consequences. The bottle slipped from Goldie's hand, waking her in the cold bath. It was obvious that Goldie had been in the bath for some time. Her hands were all wrinkled and had gone white. She stood to get out of the bath, but slipped. She went down on her knee, cracking the tub. Oh my gosh. Water poured out, down into the living room. This beautiful little cottage was getting ruined in one day. Oh my goodness. Staggering out of the bathroom, getting dry at the same time, Goldie decided to see what or if there were any clothes in this little house. She opened up the wardrobe in the first bedroom. It wasn't what Goldie was hoping for. An action hero costume with padded muscles on it. Wrong room. Goldie giggled to herself and went to the next bedroom. In that wardrobe, she found more clothes. Big, billowy dresses with awful floral prints. A better inspection found old man pants and woolly jumpers. She put her own clothes on. As Goldie pulled on her socks, she heard the front door open and close. Muffled, gruff voices traveling up through the floorboards. Uh-oh. What's happened to my house? Someone has been here, dear. Let me look around. You wait by the door. Can I help, Dad? Goldie went quietly into the wardrobe and closed the door behind her. Dad, they have destroyed our CDs, and my vodka is gone. The house has been flooded, said the more feminine voice. They have eaten the last of that guy from the other day as well. Oh my. Goldie felt her stomach do flips. Then her throat burn as she projectile vomited. Uh-oh. Dad, upstairs, I heard something. The wardrobe door opened. Goldie saw two bears looking at her. The smaller one jumped back in surprise. The larger one reached out one large meaty paw, and claws dug into her shoulder and sent a sharp pain through her body. Please don't hurt me anymore, Goldie begged, tears streaming down her face. Mummy Bear saw the intruder and locked the door with a gruesome grin of sharp, drooling teeth. Goldie saw the homeless guy peeking through the window. He saw her look and ducked out of sight. Help! Help! She screamed. Shut up, girl. No one is going to help you. Look at our house, Daddy Bear said, twisting her around and around. It was a nightmare, she told herself. Just before I die, I will wake up. She pinched herself. All that happened was more pain. That's strange. You don't feel pain in dreams. Oh no, it's real. She burst into hysteria. Mummy Bear, Baby Bear, and Daddy Bear all simultaneously pounced on her, tearing her limb from limb. Belief. The homeless man was known as Desperate Dan. After meeting Goldie, he was uneasy by her going into the woods alone, so he followed her. He had followed her until she heard him behind her and ran. Dan lost her. He wasn't as fit as he used to be. A life on the streets had taken its toll. Nevertheless, he kept searching until he came across a little cottage. He wasn't sure that she would be okay and was going to just leave it at that until he heard the screaming. He crept up to the door and found it locked, so he looked through the windows. Nothing would have ever prepared him for what he saw. Goldie held by a bear in clothes and two more also dressed and talking. When she saw him, he saw her face and the fear. He knew that he was no match for three bears, so he ran. He burst into the police station. He told them what he had seen, leaving out the clothes and talking part. It wasn't easy, but he managed to convince them to go with him, taking animal control with them. Dan rode in the back of the cop car all the time, hearing rubbish jokes. Something about pics and big surprises. Dan turned them out. He knew what he saw. They were going to lock him up in the loony bin if he was wrong. That was fine with Dan. He might check himself in anyway. They pulled up at the edge of the woods and Dan led the way. It didn't take him long to get back to the cottage this time. The first policeman walked up to the door and knocked. He could hear hushed voices and growling. He tried the door, but it was locked. His colleague went to a window. This wasn't a good sign. The one that went to the window fainted as soon as he looked in. Now everyone was at the window. Animal control, the last copper standing, and Dan. The sight was horrific. Blood was all over, and the bears were dabbing at their mouths with napkins. Goldie wasn't there. She was obviously dinner. Animal control called for backup. The police called for backup. Both lots of backup came quickly, and the copper who didn't faint guarded the door with animal control. Backup arrived with tranquilizers and huge moving containers. They broke the windows and shot all three bears. It only took a few minutes for them to fall asleep. The bears were packed up and shipped off to a safe nature reserve. Dan was paid a nice reward to keep quiet about the event. The police and animal control were given counseling. Goldilocks' parents were allowed to cremate what could be found of their daughter. The end. Wow, Now that was, I have to say, quite an interesting twist on the original Goldilocks and Three Bears. So what did you guys think? Did you like the story? I will put the information in the description box below. This author also wrote a few more stories, so I'm sure you'll be able to read those ones as well. If you would like to hear me read more stories, please let me know in the comment section below. And if you like what you see, please like, comment, and subscribe. Until next time, my lovelies, stay spooky, and I will see you in my next video. Bye-bye.